Some unusual suspects arrested in a major drug bust. Ontario to provide stun guns to more frontline police officers. And the U.S. moves closer to military action in Syria.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. 2 men in their 70s have been arrested following a major seizure of oxycodone pills in Thunder Bay yesterday.
The two accused are both Serbian nationals. 79-year-old Andy Radic and 73-year-old Branislav Vuksanovic remain in custody facing drug trafficking charges. City police recovered nearly 3,300 pills with an estimated street value of $660,000. The arrest took place just after 9:30 yesterday morning in a Memorial Avenue parking lot. A search warrant was executed, and the bulk of the drugs were found in a Memorial Avenue motel room after the arrest. While this isn't the biggest seizure in recent years, it is significant. Thunder Bay Police spokesperson Chris Adams says it could lead to more arrests and the seizure of more drugs.
Given the fact that these two individuals are not from Thunder Bay, not from Canada originally, there is potential for a more wide-ranging investigation at some point.
The origin of the pills has not yet been determined, but Adams says the oxycodone pills were most likely headed for the streets of Thunder Bay. However, northwestern Ontario is still seen as a destination for people involved in this kind of activity, and the city remains a transportation hub. The investigation, meanwhile, is ongoing, and more details will be released when they become available.
Numerous residents in the Limbrick Street area were upset to find their car tires slashed this morning. About a dozen vehicles were targeted in last night's attack, and for one mother, it's the final straw in a series of events. Nate Jones reports.
Imagine to wake up in the morning and find one of the tires on your car slashed and flattened. Now times that by 4. Donna Mendewagen, along with many others along Limbrick Street, were faced with just that. Multiple cars and multiple tires flat. Mendewagen was supposed to be on her way to a funeral, but now had to cancel. For her, a vehicle is especially important.
It's going to affect me a lot. I do have a special needs child with Down syndrome that you need the car daily. And living here hasn't been much of an experience for us. It's been a really bad experience.
She says at least 7 vehicles had their tires slashed in this parking lot alone. You don't have to go far to find more. Thunder Bay Police say the number of cars vandalized is sitting at 12, with more reports expected to come in.
Our officers are aware of it when they go out for patrol, say at night. They will have that in the back of their minds. They will be keeping an eye out. Obviously, when we have instances more than just one isolated, we try to put those occurrences together and give our officers as much information to work with.
For Mendewagen, this is the latest in a series of events outside her housing complex, she says. She says that fights, drug use, and mischief are causing her to now move.
I am leaving this area as soon as possible. It's not safe, and I don't feel safe.
Police are asking for the public's help in information that will lead to the arrest of the individuals responsible for these acts. Adams says for people to keep their eyes open and to report any suspicious activity. Nate Jones, TBT News.
Ontario is reversing a policy that limited the use of stun guns by police forces. From now on, all officers will be allowed to carry them. Stephen D'Souza has more.
Facing a knife-wielding suspect, police in Ontario for years have had to wait for a supervisor or special unit to use a stun gun. Please. Law enforcement officials have called for a change, and today the province's community safety minister says conducted energy weapons can be used by all frontline workers.
It was not a decision that was taken lightly. We have all seen, what happened at the airport in Vancouver.
The death of Robert Jakanski in 2007 had a chilling effect on the use of tasers across the country. But now, after 12 coroner's inquests in Ontario over 7 years, calling for expanding their use, the province says it's the safer option.
Sudden and unexpected death after the deployment of a taser is unusual.
The announcement comes exactly a month after the shooting death of 18-year-old Sammy Yatim, which raised questions about police use of force.
Didn't play any role because, as I said, we have been working since I became the minister.
Lawyer Julian Falconer says the province is ignoring recommendations from an inquest into the death of another man, Aaron Furman. A jury concluded a taser contributed to his death.
We're not even 45 days out from this inquest and they're moving forward. That causes me concern.
The Canadian Mental Health Association says the province should focus on training and programs like mobile crisis teams in Toronto, which help officers deal with troubled suspects.
We have yet, after 10 or 15 years of discussion, to have any of the teams that are available 24/7.
While the province is promising more training, today's announcement comes with no new money, leaving it up to individual forces to find $1,500 for each unit.
As you know, the high cost of policing is something that's right across the province. Every municipality is concerned about the costs associated to policing.
Forces say it will be at least 2 years before stun guns are widely deployed on the front lines. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, Toronto.
The construction of new government buildings, condos, and hotels are leading to a building boom in Thunder Bay. City Council heard last night that we're on pace for another year with more than $200 million in construction. As Dennis Ward reports, some senior staff think this level of activity could continue for years to come.
All you have to do is drive around to see construction projects big and small underway in Thunder Bay. As of July 1st, 731 building permits have been issued with a total value of $134 million. That number is expected to grow and could beat or exceed the all-time record set last year of $216 million.
We're in a bit of a building boom, there's no question about it. There's properties that have sat vacant now that are coming under development. So it's a good sign.
Last year's big total was due in large part to the construction of the consolidated courthouse, but this year is a mix of a lot of projects. Chief Building Official Des Stoltz predicts as many as 150 single-family homes will be built. There's also new strip malls, grocery stores, restaurants, and more.
Right from the waterfront projects, we have the development on Lily Street, the senior care project, also the office building at the hospital, the facility there, as well as the new hotels, the Marriott Hotel and the Holiday Inn Hotel on the Harbour Expressway.
While it's hard to predict what's in store for next year, the city manager personally believes these past few years may not be the end of the expansion.
This is a bit of an increase, but I think we're trending up, and if ultimately we can get the traction we need on the mining, this will be the start of it. We'll see more construction, particularly in the non-residential area, because of the availability of land and that this could continue for a number of years.
Dennis Ward, TBT News.
A massive project that would include converting existing natural gas pipelines in northwestern Ontario to carry oil was in front of City Council last night. TransCanada Energy East Pipeline is aimed at eliminating Canada's reliance on higher-priced imported crude. The cross-country line would convert roughly 3,000 kilometers of existing pipeline. Another 1,400 kilometers of new pipeline would also be constructed. Representatives with TransCanada presented up-to-date information on the project last night. The line will run from Alberta to Newfoundland. Earlier projections called for transporting 850,000 barrels of crude per day, but the company now says it has binding contracts to provide 1.1 million barrels a day. New pumping stations would be needed in the region to convert the pipeline from natural gas to crude. TransCanada Alain Parise says a third party is currently looking at just how many jobs that would create here.
Through the building of those pump stations and all of those different activities that we're going to undertake for the conversion piece, there'll be sort of an uptick, absolutely, and then there will be some net new jobs. I'm not sure how many.
Open houses on the proposed Energy East pipeline will begin in Kenora September 16th. That will be followed by meetings in Vermilion Bay, Dryden, and Ignace on the 17th, 18th, and 19th. Although the proposed section to be converted in the region does not pass directly through Thunder Bay, there will also be an open house here at the Community Auditorium September 24th. That will be followed by meetings in Nipigon and Geraldton on the 25th and 26th.
City councillors are going to do a little more research before trying to become a fair trade city. The concept aims to ensure that farmers and artisans get a better deal for the products they produce. In order to get the certification, the city must attain 5 goals, and that includes purchasing at least 2 fair trade commodities. Council has asked the Food Strategy Committee to delve deeper into the obligations of the city. Few places in the city sell fair trade commodities, and those that do offer primarily coffee and tea. And some on council wondered if purchasing just those 2 items has an impact.
They represent a symbol of moving towards this initiative, and what came out is the aggregated benefit. If this community plus this community, and because this is a worldwide initiative, that aggregation has made an impact with respect to products that are being sold under the Fair Trade banner.
There are currently 16 fair trade communities in Canada. Another 22 have been through the registration process.
The County Park Library is moving. No details have been confirmed about the exact location or the date of the move, but it has been confirmed that the library will be in a new location next year. The move is phase 2 of the library's renewal plan following the recent replacement of the Mary J. L. Black Library. Cheryl Holmes has more.
Well, nothing has been done to update the County Park Library branch since it opened in 1995, so this branch was next on the list for updates. Officials say the move out of County Fair Mall is being made mainly because this is the smallest service point of the city's 4 libraries.
The activity has decreased with the decline of the mall. It is our 4th service point, and its numbers are around the 4th busiest for this location.
The new location will still be leased. It'll be in the County Park area, but not directly in the mall anymore. The library's lease at its current location is up at the end of October, and the new library won't be open until 2014. That means people in the area will be without a library for a few months. People we spoke with are excited about the upgrade, and they hope the new location is just as user-friendly.
I hope it would be like this, where it's on one level as opposed to different levels. It's nice to have everything on one level.
I'm hoping that it's still going to be somewhere really accessible, because I like that, you know, the parking's free, it's easy to get to, and the kids like it as well. So.
Phillips says user numbers in the area are high enough to warrant keeping a library location in County Park. Meanwhile, a new checkout system will be in place at the new location. The radio frequency identification system allows guests to self-scan items, freeing up staff to be more involved with fun programming aimed towards youth at the library. The good news for guests is that all 8 staff members will stay on the team.
I'll be looking forward to we're going to be building it, and for the staff. Hopefully it'll be the same staff. They're good girls.
More information on the move will be released as it becomes available. Until then, it's business as usual at the County Park Library. Cheryl Holmes, TVT News.
The city of Thunder Bay is investigating the unexpected death of the moose at the Chippewa Wildlife Exhibit. The 7-year-old bull moose died overnight Monday. It was discovered by staff early this morning. The moose made headlines last month after a photo of it appearing gaunt and malnourished spawned hundreds of complaints on social media. However, our TV cameras showed otherwise, as the moose appeared to be well-fed and healthy. But soon after that video was shot on July 23rd, it was determined the moose had worms. Postmortem has been conducted to determine the exact cause of death. The moose had been a fixture at the wildlife exhibit for nearly 7 years. It was brought to the facility in 2006 when it was about 2 weeks old after its mother was struck and killed by a car. Park officials say the moose was given ample food and water, ongoing vet care, and was kept cool through a shelter and sprinkler system in the summer. It was the only moose at the exhibit, and city staff say they will wait for the results of the postmortem before they consider obtaining another moose for Chippewa.
Kenora Rainy River MPP Sarah Campbell is disputing predictions that drivers here in the Northwest will not benefit from expected auto insurance rate cuts. Yesterday on the NewsHour, we told you of industry representatives who warned the full benefit of the rate cuts might not be available here because the region already enjoys relatively low insurance rates compared to drivers in the South. But Campbell says industry insiders have told her a far different story. She says proposed cuts of 4% by next June, 8% by next August, and a full 15% by the following August will be available to most drivers regardless of where they live. Those with clean driving records will benefit the most. Campbell says the industry is reluctant to acknowledge this publicly, as it would be an admission that current rates are too high.
A Thunder Bay meat processing company has pleaded guilty to charges stemming from the processing of high-risk meat products. Sausage Pros, located on Simpson Street, and its owners have been ordered to pay a total of $25,000 in fines and victim surcharges for processing specialty meats without a license. The Ministry of Agriculture and Food says they are working with independent meat processors to update regulations and maintain safety.
The Attawapiskat First Nation, which has been in the national spotlight over housing and financial problems, is holding banned elections today. Controversial Chief Teresa Spence is seeking re-election. She staged a protest hunger strike near Parliament Hill last winter. A state of emergency has been declared at Attawapiskat twice in recent years because of deplorable housing conditions. There have also been proposals to move the community to another location. Chief Spence is being opposed by 3 other candidates.
Residents in the town of Nullaloe will soon have a much-needed upgrade to their road work network. The new bridge is now under construction across the Whitefish River, and residents are happy to see the project moving ahead. The new single-lane crossing will replace the 60-year-old Bailey Bridge. The old structure had weight restrictions, which could add a 6-kilometer detour for some commercial vehicles. The Ministry of Transportation says the $660,000 project includes new foundations and paving to bring the crossing up to today's standards, with a smoother ride and less maintenance. Funding for the modular bridge comes from the Ministry of Northern Development's transportation program. Larry Bacchus sits on the local roads board in the area, and he says the detours are not their biggest concern.
MTO went through, the bridge department or crew went through and posted weight limits on all the bridges in the region, and downgraded some of the weight limits quite considerably to the point that was causing hardships more than anything.
According to crews at the scene, the new bridge is expected to open at the end of next month, with minor work continuing after that.